Well, that was a great oration. Thank you so much. You brought some things to life which I'm not sure I could do myself, but I'm going to try. But the first thing I want to say is this is a great day, isn't it? Yep. A great day for all of you and a great day for me too. And I expect that some of you never thought you would get here. Am I right about that? Yes. Well, that's the same for me too. You must all have heard the old saying that behind every successful man there stands a surprised woman. Sometimes two. In the case of a successful woman, the surprised woman is right inside her. I was surprised when I passed the 11 plus and went to Richmond High School for girls, the Yorkshire Richmond, not the later copies. I was surprised when I was accepted by Girton College, Cambridge, to read law. I was astonished when I got a good enough degree to go on to a career in university teaching. It was a very different world when I went up to university in 1963. It was only 45 years since some women had got the right to vote. It was only 44 years since women got the right to enter the legal profession and eventually to become judges. It was only 1 year since the first woman had been appointed a full-time judge. And in 1966, only 450 odd of more than 19,000 practicing solicitors were women, and only 84 out of 1,900 practicing barristers were women. I didn't know those figures then. If I had done, would it have put me off going to study law? No, of course it wouldn't. You mustn't let the figures put you off, ever. The other thing that I didn't know, I think, when I went up to Cambridge, that it was only in 1948 that my university allowed women to take degrees. That was only 15 years before I went up there. Before that, the women who qualified as Bachelors of Arts had to call themselves BA, open brackets, tit, close brackets. Can you imagine all of those elderly male dons voting so that women should continue to have to call themselves BA tit? I can. The tit, of course, stood for titular, not what you're thinking. But the height of my ambition when I went to Cambridge was to become the first woman articled clerk in a local firm of solicitors. But the university raised my sights, and I hope university has done the same for you. If the men took it for granted that they could do great things, why couldn't we? These were the heady days of the 1960s, when women were just beginning to realise that getting the vote was not enough. We had to get out there and fight for equality, join the professions, of course, but also hope to have a family just as the men could do. But at your stage, it never crossed my mind that I could become any sort of judge. So I was flabbergasted when it happened, and I still don't quite know how it happened. But what happened was the result of academic enterprise. I wrote a book on mental health law, and that got me my first judicial job as a presiding member of mental health review tribunals. I edited a learned journal on social welfare law, which led to my appointment to the Council on Tribunals, Aquango. I wrote a big book on family law, as you heard, which led to my appointment as a law commissioner. And in time, all of those led to the High Court bench and upwards. And things have changed a great deal in the legal profession and the judiciary and the business world over the course of my professional life. In 2010, the percentages of women practicing as solicitors or barristers had risen to over 30%. And the figures next year, they come out every 10 years, are bound to be higher again, which is wonderful news. Women are now roughly a quarter of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. In 2017, we doubled the number of women on the Supreme Court from 1 to 2. Just shows figures don't tell you the whole story, do they? But then we added a third last year, so we now have 3 of us. So there's a third of the 12 of us. And the percentages are higher lower down the judiciary. Still not good enough, but getting a lot better. So there's still a big job to be done, not only on gender, but on all sorts of other measures of diversity in the legal profession and in the judiciary. Race, ethnicity, disability, social and educational background, to name but a few. So there are ambitions for the law graduates here to have, and that's what I'm trying to give them. However, the moral of my story is that in a rapidly changing world, we must expect the unexpected. Anything may happen. We must be flexible and determined. We mustn't be put off by the setbacks and the statistics. We must be ready to grasp the opportunities which come our way. And the great thing about a university education is that it gives us the tools to do this. It gives us the intellectual tools, the habits of curiosity, of thinking for yourself, of fair-minded evaluation of the evidence, of respect for truth, and of making ourselves work hard when we have to. You've all managed to do that, haven't you? Just from time to time, when necessary. But it gives us much more than that. The opportunity of meeting interesting people from many different places, races, and cultures, the values of understanding, of tolerance for other people's points of view, of respect for the diversity of humanity. And I hope you've all had a lot of fun too. You may be law and business students, but you're still allowed to have fun, you know. And there's never a better opportunity than at university. But you know as well as I do that it's not just you that we should be congratulating today. We must also congratulate the university and its staff who've brought you to this great day. You must all have had at least one, if not more than one, inspirational teacher who kept you going. And we must congratulate your families and your friends, without whose support and encouragement you might not have made it here today. So I am very proud to be graduating along with all of you from a great Yorkshire university. Thank you for the honour you have done me. But above all, congratulations, my fellow graduands. Unlike me, you have had to work for the degrees you're so richly deserving to get today. Thank you.